So you kind of want to knock down those walls in between departments and, instead of looking at it as, just paid search, just paid social, SEO, look at it holistically as digital marketing and different kind of pieces of the puzzle to do that sort of stuff.
Hi, you're listening to More Than Marketing. I'm your host, Arsha Mirsha, and I'm joined today by Anthony Snively. Hi.
Hello, guys.
And we're talking about attracting, retaining, and training your marketing teams. Now, this is more than marketing. So, yeah, we talk about marketing trends and platform things like that. But I think in marketing, Anthony, right, you have different skill sets and specialties, and even if you have a T-shaped marketer, to get a campaign out, you need all these different skill sets. So you're going to work with a team, and if you're a CMO or VP or director or manager or whomever, or just a marketer, you're working with other people. But this episode we're talking about, building a team, right? And Anthony, he came to us. He came and did our academy, so he learned a lot of the platform and marketing, whatever basics, if you want to call it, and platform, right?
Yep.
And then went on. Why don't you tell it? Tell me your experience.
So I joined up with Web Mechanics, I guess, like my senior year of college. So came through when I really came on. I really wanted to do a lot of like paid social advertising when I came in. Was really excited about that sort of stuff. Lo and behold, started messing around with paid social, kind of figured out that wasn't what I necessarily wanted to do. But what the kind of academy gave me was having that like solid kind of understanding, I'd say like of the 101 kind of
foundation, baseline.
Yeah, the foundation of kind of digital marketing and everything that kind of encompasses that. So when it comes to recruiting, training, all of that, it makes it kind of simpler to have somebody who actually understands kind of the science behind it and can tell you what pay-per-click advertising actually means, what encompasses search engine optimization, whereas if you don't have kind of that foundation, it can be a little tricky to understand it all.
So you've done everything from recruiting to project management, operations, and I think the biggest part of your job here is you manage our training. And training programs. We have several different training programs here, and you're kind of at the center of administering those and getting feedback on them and and all that. So let's talk to the CMOs. Let's tell them like, hey, how do you kind of recruit and train? Because truth be told, like if you're even if you're an experienced digital marketer and you're switching jobs, there's still some training, some on-the-job training you need for that new job, right? Maybe they use a different project management tool. Maybe they have a different, process for going between departments. I don't know, right? And so you still need some training. So I think every company needs a training program of sorts.
Yeah.
You would agree?
Yeah, I'd most certainly agree. And I think there's a lot of different ways you can kind of structure that. And we're always trying to figure out the best ways to kind of do that. But I'd say like for most companies, if you're leading a certain marketing team, you should look at it kind of not as a one-size-fits-all tool, but you should definitely look at it as every single person has different strengths and they're coming in with a lot of different skill sets as well. So the college student who's coming in with you, maybe they've had an internship, maybe they've just worked on a friend's WordPress site. They're going to have very different training from somebody who comes in with 4 years of paid search experience. So you want to kind of take those sorts of skills and identify ways you can improve them. So the kind of best way to go about that is having that college student or even the newly graduated college senior. You kind of treat it again as digital marketing 101, where it's okay, you guys offer PPC, SEO, analytics, and email as well if we want to include that. And you teach them the fundamentals of that. What are the various PPC networks? What makes up SEO? What are kind of some junior level tasks that you would be given as a junior? That could be stuff like keyword research. We use AWOPs a lot as well. That's kind of junior level tasks that'll give them that foundation to have. And then kind of with your mid-level people, what we see is a lot of the times in our industry, I feel like people that are in the mid-level kind of get pigeonholed more or less, which is why, we are really passionate about having T-shaped marketers.
Yeah.
But some of the folks that we have, are, they're just focused in paid search. And if you're a CMO listening to this, I'd recommend not taking that sort of approach. Obviously, there are variabilities. Maybe that works for you.
Yeah.
But when you just understand one piece of the puzzle, you could be missing out on kind of all the awesome parts of digital marketing as well. So if you have a training program, there's people who only have one certain skill set. What we do is we kind of make a customizable training plan for them and essentially identify those sorts of weak holes that they have. So we introduce them using some of the same intern materials that we use internally for those new hires. So if they don't have any SEO experience, we showcase a lot of our SEO resources that we have. So just kind of plunging those sorts of gaps, and following up with managers and making sure that they're getting sort of deliverables that are going to reinforce that training.
I think the idea is that, hey, look, when I only know one channel or one discipline, then I am, it's like only being on one continent, whereas there's the rest of the world, right?
Yeah.
And you want to, and that's why you see people who travel, they're kind of cultured and they have different perspectives and they're, maybe more open-minded or whatever. And so this idea of the T-shaped marketer and trying to create that T-shaped marketer is really like it's both, I think, like a skills based. Like we're trying to make it so that they're more efficient because they have these skills and they can translate the skills from one channel or discipline to the other.
Yeah.
But also it's kind of like an empathic. It's like empathetic because if I'm a paid media manager and I know nothing about the creative process, then it's really not fair to me to start kind of poking and prodding at the copywriter or at the designer or whatever to say, I need a landing page tomorrow. It's like, well, hold on,
It takes time.
You haven't told me anything about this landing page, So by introducing them to the different disciplines and kind of what the baseline, the foundation is for those disciplines, they develop a sense of empathy for that other specialty or person doing that.
Yeah. And I mean, it even comes down to as well, like not getting to kind of test out different things as well. Like, again, when I came in, I really was interested in paid social. And lo and behold, turns out since I was able to try that, that's not necessarily where I want to be spending my efforts at. So if you don't kind of give your folks a chance to try out new things, they could just be pigeonholed in one thing and just not really satisfied kind of with their growth potential just with that one channel.
Yeah. You never know who's going to be, awesome at another channel. You don't know. And I don't think it's required necessarily to force it on to people, but I do think it's wise to offer it. It adds some variety, some spice of life to the job.
For sure.
As well as gives them that that more of that world view, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, it's just letting them kind of do what they feel comfortable doing. There have been times even where I've heard people who are only focused on paid search, but they aren't even allowed to go into like a Google Analytics for one of their clients or something like that. And to us, it just seems so foreign to us because everything is so much more integrated here. So you kind of want to knock down those walls in between departments and, instead of looking at it as, just paid search, just paid social, SEO, look at it holistically as digital marketing and different kind of pieces of the puzzle to do that sort of stuff.
It's astonishing to me that you could be a paid search manager and not know the ins and outs of Google Analytics. Like, this makes no sense to me whatsoever, Because it's like, how are you then finding, like, here's a really cool little trick, right? Go to referring sites and look at different metrics, maybe conversion rate, maybe bounce rate, maybe time on site, and do like a weighted measurement in analytics. I'm getting way too nerdy right now, but that's how you can find, I've found referring sites that drive traffic that converts doesn't drive a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
But then you go to that site and you look at their advertising, their media kit.
Yep.
And you're like, yo, I can buy your email newsletter subscription for
Yep.
for pennies on the dollar,
Yep.
as it compares to like a CPM
Yeah.
on like Google or something. And
Yeah.
anyway, I digress. Let's come back. And let's backtrack.
Yeah.
We've talked about kind of training.
Yeah.
That's when they're already here. Let's
Yeah.
talk about recruiting.
Yeah.
Let's talk about recruiting. Where do we find digital marketing? They don't train this stuff in school.
Yeah.
Some of them are starting to say they
Yeah.
do. So what do you talk to me about recruiting a little bit?
Yeah, so it depends as well. It's not like a one problem solves all problems kind of thing, or one solution solves all
Right.
problems type of thing. When it comes to more like junior level people, again, what we found really successful is investing in our internship,
Right.
kind of academy is what we call it. So that's certainly a viable option. But in order to like kind of attract people, I think what it really comes down to is, you asking yourself as a CMO or VP or whatever position you're in, kind of, what makes your company unique? Like, what, would the world kind of be missing out on if your company wasn't around anymore?
Mhm.
And when you kind of dial in on those sorts of questions, you can better position yourself because, recruiting is kind of like marketing and sales when it really comes down to it.
Yeah, it sure is.
The conversion is, when a person submits an application, but, you have to work those sorts of candidates down the funnel.
It's so good. It's so true. It's so true. That is the conversion. Literally in Google Analytics, right?
Yep.
What is your goal completion? It's submitting
Yep.
an application. I love it.
/ applied is how we do it. So,
My man knows
you
the
know,
URL.
so, you kind of got to look at it that way is, what's the awareness of the company? What's your Glassdoor reviews? How have people heard about web mechanics in the past? So you never really know how people are going to come. There's a few different ways to actually attract them. One of them's just having really personal job postings is something that's very helpful.
Personable, you said?
Yeah, and like it sounds like it was written by a human, not
Yeah,
just like
yeah.
a robot or something like that. Like,
Yeah.
there are sometimes job descriptions that say like, here are the requirements, here are the responsibilities.
Right.
That's it. You can get creative with it. Obviously, check with all like senior level people, but you can throw in an emoji in there.
Yeah, throw emojis. Yeah, check with legal, right? We're not saying don't
Yeah.
do that, right? But definitely, yeah, throw the emoji in there. Like,
Yeah,
this
and-
is marketing. Make recruiting fun, right?
Yeah.
I mean, make it, and maybe you're a marketer at a I don't know, more buttoned up or red tape type industry, maybe
Mhm.
financial, healthcare, whatever. Okay, so now let's have some. You can't have too much fun there, so have fun on the recruiting. I
Yeah,
don't know,
yeah,
like,
exactly.
Right. So
And,
make it human, make it personable.
Yeah,
Talk about your differentiators. I would add when you were saying differentiators, I thought like core values.
yeah,
Like throw those in the job description.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. We don't necessarily do that. It's on our recruiting site.
yeah,
Maybe not in the job description, but if it's because that's what I mean. That's how you're going to find people who are aligned to your fabric.
yeah.
You
Yeah, and I mean that's definitely something you want to keep in mind even when you are hiring people as well. And
Yes.
You
Talk
know,
about that. Yeah. So,
yeah.
So okay, maybe this person doesn't have that much experience, or maybe they have some experience.
Yeah,
How else are you judging them?
Yes.
Not judging. I hate that word. Evaluating.
yeah. Evaluating is a good way to put
Yeah.
it. I mean, a good way to do it is making sure. There are a lot of times during the interview process where you're kind of gauging a lot of different parts kind of that make up a person. You can have like a super duper skilled person, but if they're not a great culture fit, their core values and their character necessarily isn't aligned to the work that we're doing, they're probably not going to be a good fit no matter how skilled they are. And those sorts of different categories
yeah.
to kind of evaluate candidates is, kind of like what's their culture fit, what's their character, core values type of fit,
Yes.
and then what's their skill fit.
Yes.
They can kind of, they're kind of fluid. It's not like, we have like check marks where it's like, well, they got an 8 out of 10 on culture and then that. But, we're willing to kind of look past certain skills if, we think they're a really hard worker and they're going to pick up fast. Of course, if they have everything, that's great. But if you can, most of the time with stuff, you can't expect somebody to have 20 years of Facebook ads experience. It's not possible.
Right.
Facebook wasn't around 20 years ago.
Right.
You know, same thing with anything in Google Ads. Stuff is changing so fast that it makes it very, very challenging to find people with super senior experience. So you need to be kind of realistic with what you can get.
Yeah, and I think looking for someone who I think you nailed it. Okay, we can look past the skills if you're a hard worker, if you
Hmm.
have some evidence of hustle or evidence of learning, because
Yeah.
this industry changes like faster than underwear. That's
Yeah.
a common saying, I think, or maybe it's common because I say it a lot. Right? Hopefully, your underwear is changing
Yeah.
often
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
industry definitely is changing often.
Yeah.
So you need to be able to learn and be passionate about it,
Yeah.
enjoy it. Find someone who's got some passion.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about the interview process, though. So, okay, I found some candidates and now I'm bringing them in.
Yeah.
What do we do in the interview process?
Yeah, so as much as interviews tend to be like you trying to understand more about a candidate, it's also the candidate trying to understand, the company better. So it's not this sort of thing where, you can play tough and, not show hospitality to a candidate. They're here, and they deserve to be treated well. So typically what I would say you should recommend is, just start with showing them around the space. So they get a feel for the office and kind of the mentality and the culture kind of just from walking around, showing them the different parts of the office, and then
That's
of
good.
course offering them something to drink as well. They're definitely super nervous because it's an interview, so you want to make sure that they feel comfortable and kind of ready.
Are you from the South by any chance? Because you're very hospitable.
Oh, no, just I guess my parents.
Are good people?
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right, let's thank them then. We'll thank them.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Was that a very kind of stereotype that I just threw out there? The South, right?
I mean, I think it's a good stereotype
It's a good
to have,
stereotype,
though, if
right?
it's
Yeah. Well,
hospitality.
I'm not judging. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
hospitality, South,
Yeah.
we like. Yeah, that's good stuff.
But then once you get them water, tea, coffee, a snack, or something like that, they get comfortable.
Yeah.
So one of the things, I've heard a lot of different ways that people do interviews. Sometimes people do interviews and it's like 8 people on a panel, just badgering a person with questions over and over again.
Yeah.
That's not a accurate portrayal of how that person actually is. You're putting them under immense pressure and in front of 8 different people.
That's not. Yeah, it's not a job, right?
Yeah,
It's not-
exactly,
they're not,
exactly.
They're not a congressperson, like.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
maybe that's a good interview process for Congress people, right?
But not for marketers.
Right, exactly.
So what you want to do then is kind of section out your interviews in different timelines, more or less.
You mentioned, actually, going back. So I'm sorry to cut you off, Anthony.
No,
but
you're good.
You mentioned something good. So we look at character,
Yep,
look at culture,
Yep.
and look at skills.
yep,
So you could theoretically have people. Let's say you have like 3 people come in and an interview. One's interviewing for the culture. One's interviewing for the character. One's interviewing for the skills, right?
Yep.
And you align the people who know the skills the best to do the skills interview. The people who know the culture the best, do that. You often have me come in and do the culture piece.
Yep.
Because I'm the co-founder and I want to make sure our core values and culture are tight. So right,
exactly.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
now I get it.
Yeah,
Now
exactly.
I see what you're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's exactly it. Is you
It's
kind
a
of take
method
what.
to your madness.
Yep. You
isn't
take
there?
exactly what's kind of important to you as an org when you're hiring people, and making sure that the people who are coming in to interview, are they have a role in mind. Because it just helps everybody be more efficient as well. That the skills people, they already know that the culture and character bits are taken care of already.
Right.
The culture people don't have to worry about the skills.
Yes.
Most of the time, sometimes the culture people won't be necessarily the best person to probe for skills anyway, so they shouldn't be asking those sorts of questions. So it just keeps the interview process more efficient, and it also is less intimidating to candidates as well when they don't have to sit in front of a panel in front of 8 different people. Instead we want to have maybe 2 people in at a time from our company, and then kind of switch out as different sections of the interview wrap up. And you always want to be respectful of people's time as well. Because typically, unless somebody is, in the middle of jobs or something like that, most of the time people who are coming in to interview are normally taking some PTO or something like that
Yeah.
off of their current role.
Right.
You want to be respectful of them and make sure that they're actually getting really good usage of their current time with you and not I guess like overstaying where their
Right.
current workplace is going to get, I don't know, suspicious or be like,
Or whatever, or
yeah,
maybe or whatever. Maybe they have something else
yeah,
to do or what
exactly,
have you. Yeah,
yep,
because interviews can go long. You ask
yeah,
questions open ended, and
yeah.
whatever. It's
Yeah, and you always want to leave room as well for them to ask questions, because again,
I think that's really important. You started touching on that at
yeah,
the beginning of this
yeah,
question,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I think I really was hoping you'd come back, and now you are. But I'm just going to highlight it.
yeah,
Nothing says passion. Nothing says. I mean, okay, maybe some stuff, but nothing says passion. Nothing says desire more than someone who comes prepared with questions
yep,
for you. They've read your Glassdoor. They have seen your website. They have taken the phone interview
yep,
or whatever, the steps before to cultivate some questions that are important to them. Nothing makes me more upset in an interview
yeah,
than when I asked, "Do you have any questions for us?" and the answer is no.
yeah,
Like, you have the owner of the company sitting across from you.
yeah,
Ask me a question, a hard one, please. Like,
yeah,
I'm begging you to do that.
yeah,
It just says that you're not ready, or
yeah,
you don't want to be here in particular, and you're just looking for a job. You don't care what it is,
yeah,
and for us, we're not. That's not who I'm looking to hire personally.
yeah,
Maybe you as a CMO have a position to fill, and and it's just checking a box. I don't know,
yeah,
but anyway, yeah.
yeah, but
Deciding what's important to you up front and being realistic about
yeah,
things.
but I would even say, adding on to it, if you are a CMO, what you want to do is, I think there are different varieties of even qualities of questions as
Mm.
well. Like sometimes it'll be some really like standard questions, like what's a day in the life look like?
Yeah.
And that's well and good, but like what really gets me excited is, when people ask like kind of the trickier
Yeah.
questions, like,
What's the future of this organization look
yeah,
like?
or
Yes. Like,
if there was one word to describe working here, what would it be
yeah,
and
there you go.
why?
Right.
Or what's been a challenge for you guys in 2019 or something like
Right.
that, where they're getting kind of to the like meat and potatoes more or less of what the company is, who they serve, and that sort of thing.
Yep. No, I completely agree. I'm right on the same page. I once asked that question. Do you have any questions for us? And they're like, nah. Actually, I have one question. What does lunch look like?
Yeah,
What?
yeah,
So, and at first I was thrown off. I was like, why do you care about lunch?
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah,
whatever. But
yeah,
it turned out, upon further, they were actually looking for more of a understanding of the culture. Like,
yeah,
do people eat together,
yeah,
or do they eat at their desk?
yeah,
And so I kind of had to probe for that, but that question threw me off. I'm like,
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
you're already asking about lunch? You're not even
Lunch.
hired yet?
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like, but it was
yeah,
more they're trying to understand the culture.
yeah,
So
for sure.
that was kind of interesting. Let me take a quick commercial break,
Okay.
and then we'll come right back and talk about, now we've interviewed, we know their culture, their character, their skills. Now we've hired them. Just
Yeah,
want to quickly touch on, what do we do next? What's
yeah,
the first thing we do?
yeah.
There's a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back. So we've interviewed. We have determined that they're the right fit, and now we've
Hmm.
made a hire, right? And
Yep.
they start on Monday.
Yep.
So what are we doing? What's the onboarding plan?
Yeah, so it first and foremost starts
Have
with
a plan.
yeah,
Right?
having a
Have
plan
plan,
is
right?
kind of integral to this whole sort of thing. Onboarding is such like a massive part of the recruiting process that I think sometimes it gets kind of overlooked, because it's like, well, we got them in the door, that's enough for us.
Yeah.
But it should instead be looked at kind of as, we got them in the door, now let's make sure that they're set up for success.
Yes.
So what we kind of want to focus on is, every single company that you work at has a different system. They have different processes. They have different kind of everything. And sometimes a candidate's going to come in, they know every single thing. Sometimes they're not. So you want to make sure that you take into consideration that when you're onboarding them. But what really helps us is just having, we use a project management software called Asana. Asana's super helpful. You can have this like nice checklist basically that runs through everything that a person could know.
Or
So
needs to know.
yeah, or needs to know even. So making sure that they understand things related to how we use Google Calendar or Gmail or our messaging app Slack. Understanding how they knew that.
Yes.
So when they come in on day one, recommend letting them start a bit later as well because just helps them kind of get acclimated, kind of establishes that this is going to be a more um, relaxed day because you don't want to throw your new hire into the fire on the first day. Like, hey, buddy, thanks for joining. We need you to, redesign a completely huge website for us real quick. So that's not really great to do. So what you want to do is always set somebody with them kind of on day one. You don't want to just take them to their desk and be like, here you go, like that's it. You want to make sure that their immediate manager knows they're coming and is kind of available at their desk to just, wave, say hello, good to see you again, because it's assuming that they've been involved in the interview process as well. So after that, it's just a matter of, getting them set up on their machine, understanding their computer preference if you can, because if they work better on a Mac or a PC or a Chromebook, that's going to help them ultimately be more efficient for you guys as an org.
Yeah.
So what you want to do then is just start running them through kind of the core systems that you guys work with and how all of those sorts of pieces of the puzzle
and
work.
the nuances, like you said, like,
Yeah.
okay, we use Slack. I'm sure many organizations out there use Slack. Okay?
Yep.
But the channels,
Yeah,
the way
and
you
what
use
they
Slack
mean.
is different. Okay, we have Asana. Maybe they used Asana in the past, but the way that we use Asana, it might
It's
be
different.
right? So,
Yep.
so those intricacies are what you want to cover.
Yeah.
And make sure that they're comfortable with, and
Yeah.
leaving room for them to ask questions.
Yep.
I think number one in this is having an onboarding plan, and that onboarding plan could be templated in a lot of ways. I know ours is for sure.
Yeah.
We have, and we're constantly making tweaks to the template.
Yep,
Right? We're like,
for
hey,
sure.
you know what? They didn't. We need everyone to install our CRM. This was a recent thing, right?
Yeah,
We need
yeah,
everyone
yep.
to install our CRM plugin,
Yep.
and wasn't happening. Okay, no problem. No one's upset. Add
Yeah.
it to the onboarding and make sure everyone do it once for everyone. Add it to onboarding so everyone in the future will have it.
Yep.
And so now you have that template in onboarding, and you can add things to it or modify things to it as your needs and organization changes.
Yeah.
But what it does is what you said and said very well is sets people up for success.
Yeah.
It doesn't throw them to the fire.
Yeah.
And force them to kind of figure it out
Yeah.
along the way. It just gives them that foundation, baseline.
Yeah.
So I know you do this pretty well in kind of systematically in a way. So right, like you kind of do it by day. You do like day one. I think it's like system setup, right?
Yeah, and then kind of what you want to focus on then for like the second day is more so going to be focusing, like we have specific tasks for you to complete to, we're not just going to show you how to do something. Typically we'll show you how to do something and then ask you to actually do it.
Right.
Because it's kind of the best way to reinforce things. So a lot of your second day will focus on actually those sorts of onboarding tasks. So whether that be, setting up a mentorship meeting with your new manager, so you understand Google Calendar better, sending an email to your manager asking if there are any particular email groups they should be a part of. So you're going to spend a good chunk of your second day.
I didn't even know you did that. That's good. That's really good.
So your second day is going to be a lot of, taking care of the tasks that you need to.
That's where that email came from.
Yep.
You're sneaky, man. That's good stuff. That's smart. I like that.
So then kind of after that is where, you're feeling more acclimated with everything. So that's when you can kind of, start to maybe dip your toe in kind of in some real work starting out. But of course, like no super rush on that.
This is what, day 3?
Yeah, more or less. But as well on day 3, you're going to start doing some meet and greets as well with select people.
Scheduled.
Yeah, scheduled meet and greets that are just a nice time to sit down, meet somebody else from a different team because, when I joined Web Mechanics, I think we were about like 30-ish people, and it was much easier to just meet and greet with more folks. It's still pretty simple and straightforward to do that, but setting out dedicated time for people across teams to meet with one another just makes each other feel more comfortable with each other, which allows them to do better work, basically. And they've usually get a chance as well during their first day just to, meant to say this earlier, just get lunch with the new person as
Mhm.
well. It's a super great way to introduce them to all sorts of different people across teams. Because, yeah, you just need to say free food is in the kitchen, come
And
say hi to
and
the new
everyone
person,
rolls to the
and
kitchen.
everybody rolls
Rolls
in,
up.
and
Yeah,
then you get
that's
to meet them.
and you get to meet everyone, and then it's a good way to make them feel comfortable. Unless they're
Yep.
super introverted, when you ask them, "Hey, we'd like to do this. Would you like to?"
Yeah.
Some people will say no, and
Yeah,
that's
and that's
fine, and
okay.
that's okay. And that's back to hospitality.
Yep.
It's not about uh doing the same thing every single time. It's about making them feel comfortable. That's
Yeah.
the end goal, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah,
Um,
the meet and greets are really good because then you get people knowing one another, and you
yeah.
never know. Like sometimes they share common interests or common friends or something like
Yeah,
that,
exactly.
and now this relationship is built, and
Yep.
these and they can then go on and work
Really
well
well
together. Yeah,
together. Yeah.
exactly, and something you would never have known if you didn't make the connection.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and lastly, something else that we've kind of been doing now new is, we work with a immediate manager more or less to kind of plan out every single hour of that new hire's like first week.
mhm.
So setting up those meet and greets, setting up their onboarding, but then also just they're going to be meeting with direct members of their team who they're going to be working very closely with. And since you're going to be working so closely with them, it helps if you know their name for starters, but also kind of just understand them as a person.
Mhm.
And then once all those meet and greets happen, we just, would recommend as well doing some sort of customized training plan. Again, going back to making sure that, people are well versed in a variety of things, or at least understand
And
that.
always learning.
Yeah, and always learning, and at least understand that SEO stands for search engine
Mhm.
optimization. We want to make sure that they have a customized training plan. So if they lack one skill, we can train them up on something else right away with the training materials that we have. And then, yeah, basically after that, they can sign up for different certifications as well that we recommend. Yeah.
You know, what'd be really cool.
What?
And we used to have a long time ago. We had this
Yeah.
a glossary of terms because we use a lot of
Yeah, we do have
acronyms,
a lot of acronyms.
and I'm sure we share some with you out there, but I'd imagine that you have your own,
Yeah.
like inside your own company or your own industry.
Yeah.
Definitely both of those. Maybe inside your own team,
Yeah.
right? Like a TPS report.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that stands for, but people from the office do.
Yeah.
Right, but so yeah, acronyms. That's something that we should.
Yeah,
Look
that
at,
is
'cause
something we should do.
I can dust it off, man. It's deep in our drive, but
Yeah.
I can dust it off because I don't know,
We have a
nothing.
lot of acronyms
Ton
for
of
sure.
acronyms.
Yeah.
And Anthony, it's funny you mentioned names and meeting. I was interviewing someone recently, and I asked them, "What do you think the most challenging part of say you get the job? What's the most challenging part going to be for you?"
Mm-hmm.
And they thought about it, and they said knowing everyone's name or learning everyone's name within the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow! Like I didn't see that coming."
Yeah.
This is totally.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about it is that that was that person's concern.
Yeah.
That's what they were concerned about.
Yeah,
Not
for sure.
whatever the workload or understanding the industry or whatever.
Yeah.
So I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's crazy what's on people's mind, and you just don't know until you ask.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
So great, man. Great onboarding. Just I think first off, if I could put together like having a plan,
Yeah.
knowing that there are certain things that has to happen, like setting them up in the systems,
Yeah.
and showing them the intricacies of that.
Yeah.
Uh,
And being available and being patient as well.
Yeah.
Just really stopping and being like, look, if you have questions, feel free to Slack me. Always happy to help you out basically with anything. And that still happens with, some of our newer folks who have been here for 3 months now or something
Yeah.
like that, where they have a question about moving files around in Drive, or they need to be added to some sort of time tracking project that they
I
weren't
saw you
originally
doing
a
that.
part
I
of.
saw you doing that yesterday.
Yeah,
Someone
yeah.
who's been here a couple weeks, and you were like, "Hey, I just showing them how to do time tracking."
Yeah.
You did it in the onboarding.
Yep.
They needed a refresher or something
Exactly.
specific for a certain client
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
Exactly.
and that's awesome, man. You're a good person, Anthony. I hope you know that.
Well, thank you, man.
You
I
really
think you're
are.
a good person too,
How
Arsham.
about them apples? All right, cool. So we have a little time. Let's talk about just real quick. Touch on like what we do to scale, right?
Yeah.
So your marketing organization is growing, and or it has a lot of turnover, maybe,
Yeah.
right? For either one of those cases, what can you do to for continuity?
Yeah, I'd say write things down or record videos even of it. We use a tool called Loom, which is fantastic for
Yes.
recording videos.
Yeah.
But web developers, for example, they take documentation whenever they're building any sort of website or web application. You should do the same thing for your organization as well. If something happens where one marketing manager is just doing one task, he or she's the only one who knows how to do it. There's going to be a cost of time basically when that person leaves and somebody else has
A
to
major
learn it.
hole, major hole. Yeah.
Yeah, so
So documentation.
so as soon as you start taking documentation, and there's a lot of stuff, a lot of guides that we have internally for anything from keyword research to basic account management to just how to use different systems that we have here. So that kind of helps with scaling of, making sure those guides are simple enough that somebody can come in with little experience and follow along in the steps of a certain guide to complete a real entry level task and be able to complete it without having many questions. As well as using templates as well. A lot of the times, at least in the marketing industry, a lot of the things that you do are repeatable.
Yes.
And you're going to keep on doing this. So instead of reinventing the wheel every single time, you may as well create templates that you can update as different systems change. When Google AdWords changes to Google Ads and they roll out different features, you want to keep that sort of different
Keep it evergreen.
templates.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. So just writing stuff down and recording videos of demonstrating how to do certain things is going to greatly help you scale up quickly.
Scale. And that's
Yeah.
the word, scale, right? Because
Yeah.
now I don't have to sit with that person,
Yeah.
and I've recorded the video once and I can use it over and over again.
Yeah.
And I don't have to sit with them and, take my time. They
Yeah.
can watch the video
Or
and learn it themselves.
or even one of our creative directors who he was going out of the office for a little bit, and he was like, "Hey man, can you show me how to get ready to prep for being out of office?" And I was like, "Here's a template for it. Just follow it along.
Literally,
You
we
can
have a
do it."
template for OOO prep, out
Yep.
of office prep, and
Yep.
that's because we've done it so many times
Yep.
that we just put it into a template.
Yep, and it eliminates the risk of missing something as well.
Yes, well said. I love that you said that because even myself, who's done a particular thing a million times, let's say, I still use templates.
Yeah,
And why? It's because I want to make sure I'm not missing something.
anything. Yep.
Because that's what happens when you think, when you think you've done it so many times that you're not going to miss something. That's when you miss something.
Yeah, for sure.
So it just reminds you that.
Yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
So, dude, this was awesome. Thank you so much for spending your time with me and hopefully telling people, giving some good actionable insights
Yeah.
and takeaways, practical tips for interviewing, for training,
Yeah.
for onboarding, which all leads to that retention, right?
Yeah.
And then also for templatizing here for scale.
Yep,
right?
for sure.
So I really appreciate your time, man.
Yeah,
Really
man.
appreciate
Thank you for
sharing.
having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully this was helpful to you all out there. Please comment, let us know what was helpful, what you might want to hear more about. If you want, Anthony will likely, spend time with you and help you because he's just passionate about the space. He's passionate about people and
Yeah.
making sure people have great experiences in this marketing world. So so feel free to reach out, like, subscribe, comment, share this with your friends. Thank you, Anthony. Put it here.
Thank you, man.
One more clap, and we'll see
Cool.
you next time on More Than Marketing.
Alrighty.
Cheers.
See you guys.